On the edge of Greymarsh village stood a crooked windmill, long abandoned and leaning as though it might collapse into the swamp at any moment. No one went near it. The villagers said its blades had once spun without wind, creaking through the night until the sound carried across the water like a groan. Some claimed the miller had made a bargain with something that lived in the marsh, read something that promised endless grain but demanded silence about its true form. Myra, a curious girl of 16, never believed the tales. She thought them excuses for cowardice, born from the way the marsh filled with fog and strange lights after dusk. So when her grandmother warned her never to wander near the mill, Myra decided that was exactly what she would do. One autumn evening, as mist curled low over the cattails, she carried a lantern and crossed the sinking boards of the old footbridge. The air smelled of wet earth and something faintly metallic. The closer she came, the quieter the marsh grew, as though even the frogs held their breath. The mill loomed before her, its doors hanging crooked on rusted hinges. She stepped inside. Dust and old grain husks covered the floor. But what struck her first was the faint humming, low and steady, like a deep voice just beyond hearing. The gears above were moving, slowly, deliberately, though no wind stirred the blades outside. She lifted her lantern higher. Between the turning cogs were something tangled roots, black and glistening, pulsing as though alive, and within the knots of them, a shape watched her. Two pale eyes, lidless and unblinking. The humming grew louder, pressing against her chest. She stumbled back, but the door slammed shut with a sound like thunder. The mill shook, its walls straining. The voice came at last, whispering not with words but with hunger. It promised her the same deal it had given the long-vanished miller, grain enough to feed the village for generations, if only she swore to keep it secret and never reveal what lived inside. Myra's lantern flickered, shadows lurching across the warped beams. The eyes did not blink. The roots reached lower, curling like fingers toward her feet. She realized then why the villagers never spoke of the bargain. They hadn't forgotten they'd chosen silence out of fear. Her choice came swiftly. She held the lantern into the roots. Fire blossomed, snapping through the dry husks, racing up the beams. The mill screamed not wood, not stone, but the thing within it. Myra burst through the door as flames clawed skyward, the blades turning madly before they splintered and fell. By dawn, nothing remained of the windmill but blackened timbers and smoke drifting over the marsh. The villagers asked her what she had seen. Myra only shook her head and said, "Some secrets aren't worth keeping."